What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for October 25th, 2022. We finally have the Philly schedule. It looks like all the games will be at 8:03, which I know they have to do it for the national audience. It just means late nights and early mornings for this guy, but it's well worth it, especially if they can somehow pull it off. Speaking of the Phils, we have a special World Series edition of Back to the Future coming up later this week. Looking like we're probably going to be able to record that Friday, which will tie in, Thursday, which will tie in nicely with the game starting on Friday. So you'll get your Phillies preview. I will have my brother back on with me to kind of discuss some of the Phils. That seemed to work out well for the Dallas podcast. So be on the lookout for that. Not sure quite how we're going to work it yet and if we're going to have other people, but definitely be on the lookout for that, as it should be very special, as it's the World Series. It only happened 6 other times in Phillies franchise history, so we will take it. Sixers finally got in the win column yesterday. Granted, they were playing Indiana, who is terrible, but Doc, luckily for you, the Phillies are in the World Series, so I'm still watching you, but we'll give you a pass for at least the next 4 to 7 games, but still got my eye on you. So going back today to one of my all-time favorite Eagles memories, we're going to go back to 1987. So October 25th, 1987 was week 6 of the NFL season. The Eagles beat the Cowboys 37-20. Now, it wasn't a very good year for either one of those teams, but this game in particular is important because this is the one that reignited the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry that kind of went and died there for a little bit. 2 weeks prior to this, this was the year of the NFL strike. So 2 weeks prior, Tom Landry sent some of his strike breakers back into the game after the Cowboys had a big lead with their replacement players in the second half. So guys like Ed Too Tall Jones, Tony Dorsett, Randy White, Danny White, he put them in and basically ran up the score, even though he used it as this, that, or the other. Now, the fact that these guys were playing was a joke anyway. They did it for money. But so definitely pissed off Buddy Ryan, and he had this game circled. He was hoping that the contract dispute would be finalized by then because he wanted his real team, who he did not allow. He said, I might be getting this wrong, but I remember he basically told them to all stay together and fight for what they wanted. And I do believe he said he didn't care one way or the other what they did as long as they did it as a team. And it was just kind of the guy he was. So those players obviously saw what Tom Landry did, and they came out once they came back, and they came out focused in practice, and they had this game circled and ready to go. So in a back and forth game, there was 11 seconds left. The Eagles were up 30-20. So Buddy Ryan decided to get his revenge on Tom Landry, called a pass play where they weren't expecting it, deep down there. I think they were like on the 35-yard line of the Cowboys. Threw it to Mike Quick, who the defensive back was shocked, got called for the pass interference, and gave the Eagles the ball at the 1. Next play gave his Keith Byers the ball, came in, scored a touchdown. Eagles won 37-20, much to the delight of the fans still at the Vet to see this run down. Obviously, the Cowboys were pissed. Landry was pissed. Buddy just thought he was getting back Tom Landry for what he did to him. I tend to agree. But what this did was this reignited that Cowboys rivalry. And obviously, they were teams going in opposite directions. The Cowboys were on their downfall. The Eagles were getting ready to come on the upside. But it just, to me, as a kid who was just getting into football this season in particular, it was a great way. I was like, I kind of ignited that fire and that hatred toward the Cowboys because, like, I remember watching the game that Landry did it and thinking, what is wrong? Asking my dad, who was a Union guy, what was going on, and he was explaining at the time, not really understanding what he meant. And looking back at it now, those guys were assholes. But I digress. So that after that game, Buddy Ryan never lost to them again as the head coach of the Eagles. And the Eagles themselves did not lose to the Cowboys till December of 1991, but they had a backup quarterback. So it kind of was what it was. But on this day, October 25th, 1987, Buddy Ryan did the fake kneel down with Randall Cunningham, got the pass interference, ran up the score on those scumbags from Dallas, and won the game 37-20, reigniting the flame and everything for the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry. Obviously, it wouldn't be until 2017 that we were able to finally get our, hey, we got a Super Bowl, but it was a fun time to be an Eagles fan, and we'll have more on that as we get in through the season and some of those games coming up. If you want more on the Eagles-Dallas rivalry, check out Back to the Future wherever you get your podcasts from. My brother and I did sort of a trip down memory lane of what the rivalry was about. We talk a little bit about this, some of the other iconic moments, what led to the rivalry. And we actually discussed why it's the Cowboys and not the Giants based on geographic reasons and everything. Definitely worth a listen, so go check it out. As I mentioned, we'll have our World Series preview coming up later this week. Until then, follow me on Twitter and TikTok, Jimbo_Mont. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe and like for the video versions of these podcasts if you're one of the listeners. If you're watching it and you want to listen to it, it's available this day in Philly sports history wherever you get your podcasts. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. Relax. It's going to be a busy next 10 days for you as Philly fans. So we need to relax, kind of pace ourselves, get into the right mindset. Remember, this is #NewPhilly. So until next time, I will see you when I see you.